Hello guys, I'm applying for a taxi badge, and in this video I'll be talking to you guys about the process so far, what stage I am at, and the stuff that I still need to do, and my thoughts regarding this whole process and whether it's the right choice for me or the right decision to get this taxi license and also to do this career. And so far I'm at the stage where I've passed my knowledge test for the city that I live in, which is Sheffield in South Yorkshire, UK. And I've done a lot of work for it, a lot of revision, and I managed to pass it first time, which I was happy about. And the next stage that I am at is the driving assessment. It's a practical test with an instructor, and I believe he or she will be testing me on the routes and how my driving is on the road. And I'm hoping to pass this pretty soon as well, in the next week or just under 2 weeks. The actual exam is for the driving assessment. I'm not nervous as such, but the routes I'm trying to practice on my own time, and hopefully I'll pass it. And then after that is a DBS check and a medical. These two can be done pretty quickly, so that will be the sort of last stages towards this process. But once I get this taxi license badge, or the license, whatever one would call it, then I can drive and do taxi work. And my options for my city is either Uber driving, or there's another company called Vuzu, there's Bolt, but the main one is Uber. And I've been speaking to some drivers that I see when I'm at the gym or elsewhere, and I've been talking to them, and I'm getting mixed reactions from everyone. Everyone has their own views and their own judgment regarding this whole process, and also whether it's even worth driving for Uber and having a taxi license. So I've decided that I haven't got the money or the funds to buy a new car, or a fairly new car as required for driving a taxi vehicle. In most cases, if it's a hybrid, it has to be, don't quote me on it, but less than 6 years old. And if it's a diesel, then I believe it's 4 years. And I just don't have that sort of money to buy a car outright, and I don't want to do finance, as I don't want any pressure on myself. And yes, so I believe that once I get this taxi license in the next couple of weeks, and it's been a process, it's been in the making for the last 2.5 months, from filling in the application form, revising for my knowledge test, going to college for a week, doing all this safeguarding nonsense they teach you. And yeah, here I am. I'm at the last stages, I believe. And when I speak to drivers, they say all you have to do is put the hours in, 50, 60, 45. And obviously the money that they earn, some of them can earn 1,000, 1,200 a week, but that's putting in like 50 hours a week, 55 in some cases. And it may sound like it's very good money, 1,200 a week, £1,000, but then there are costs as well, like your fuel, wear and tear, that sort of stuff, and then the insurance as well. So you have to allocate a certain amount to all these expenses, and then you're probably left with 600 or 700 pounds sort of take home money, which is not good if you're doing 55, 60 hours a week. But most of them tell me that the flexibility offsets the low sort of wages for the hours they do. And most of these people who do taxi work, they have families and they have kids, and they need that flexibility. And once you've done it for a certain amount of time, I believe it becomes addictive. You enjoy that sense of freedom and the flexibility. So some people just don't venture out to any other fields. They stick to the taxi work. And for me, it's I've come this far, so I will get the license, and I will pay for the 3 years to have this license before I need to renew it. And instead of buying a brand new car, which I don't have the money for, I will rent the car. I'll rent a car for the first 1 or 2 months and see how it goes. I'll do the driving and see it for what it is. I know already from my driving experiences, I enjoy driving, and I do enjoy communicating with people, talking to people, and I can relate with all people, and manage to how to work with people and talk to people of all backgrounds and ages and stuff like that. So I'm already thinking that it's a job that I may enjoy, but then it'll be something new. But then I'll also be thinking about the expenses, for paying the rent for the car, the fuel. So I may consider that the first week I work could be just going towards my expenses, and then the 3 other weeks in a month or so, give or take, then that will be my sort of profits. And I'm hoping it will be the case, and how I'm figuring it out. But from drivers, what I hear, Uber is not paying a lot of money, and I don't think they are anyways, because when you see the way you book, I've used Uber to use a taxi to get to appointments and stuff, and it's a £12 fare to go a couple of miles down the road, 4 or 5 miles, but they will not be paying £12 to the driver. Probably end up paying £8, £9, depending if it's off peak, on peak. And they don't seem to be doing fairness when it comes to pay to the drivers. And this is where a lot of drivers are suffering, in the sense that they are having to put a lot of hours in to earn the same money as they were a couple of years back when the fares were slightly better. So I don't know what Uber is doing, why they are reducing these fares for the drivers, and with the cost of living and the expenses that are there for drivers that they need to cover these expenses, wear and tear, tires, servicing, the depreciation of your car when you're doing all these mileages. So it's not an easy business to get into. It's a business in a sense, because you're having to manage all these stuff for what? So that's why I'm thinking, is this the right path for me to go? Yes, I can make 1,200, but I'm putting some donkey hours in there, and then take away expenses. I might as well just go and get a trucking job. Less headache. Yes, you are tied 8 to 10, 12 hours, but at least you don't have the headache of any expenses of running the company and the wear and tear and the vehicle. But anyhow, I've come this far, and I am excited, as well as apprehensive as to how it may turn out for me, this sort of taxi career that I'm approaching. And I just think that if all the drivers can unite and demonstrate and turn their apps off, to give Uber a clear message that they are not happy about what's happening with the fares and why it's hard to make ends meet when you have all these expenses, and they are making a big cut for themselves. So if the fare is £12, they will end up paying the driver £8, £7, and the rest goes to Uber. And all they are providing is essentially an app that provides these jobs. And it's a smart thing that they have done, whoever came up with it. But the reality on the ground is these are affecting people, real lives. People who are struggling, who have kids, who need a fair balance of life, to look after their health, to spend time with their loved ones. So it's in a sense a whole lot of slavery, But there is no political force or body in the UK, and I believe other countries as well, where Uber operates, where they are confronting this organization and threatening them legally, politically, to get their act together. There are no politicians, as far as I know, apart from certain groups, independent groups that are, you know, going through the database of what's happening with the drivers' pay and previous pays and now, and you know, the certain hours the drivers are doing. And there are small groups, but they are not powerful. The major changes can come from politicians and the government, but unfortunately they are not interested to help Uber drivers. And I believe that the councils are in cohesion with these companies. The councils are also in it for the money. They want to raise as much money for their own deficits and for their own accounts. They do not care about the drivers. In fact, here in South Yorkshire, the taxi license fees have gone up by a lot, and I'm talking by 80, 100 pounds more for license and other stuff that are required for this process to be completed to get a taxi license. So everyone's making money at the expense of the drivers working and putting these hours in to earn a living, you know. And in my case, I've been driving for 17 years, a clean, full UK driving license, and then now I have to do a driving assessment with an instructor to see if I'm competent at driving and also testing my routes. But if I was not able to, you know, if I didn't have a knowledge in the routes and in the area, then I would have not been able to pass this test. So, and I've been driving for a long time and I know the area, but yet they charge you £87 for about 45 minutes for someone to tell you whether you have passed or failed, and to tell you that you can go ahead and drive. I can see the, you know, the necessity, certain things, you know, that you need to make sure that people can really drive, because there are some horrendous drivers on the road. They have a license, and the way they drive, you'd think they just nicked the car or they're in a different world. So this is the process. I will keep you guys updated regarding this practical test when I pass, and all options are open for me. I may give it a go, try it for a month or two, and if I see that I'm putting in donkey hours and that after all my expenses I'm left with minimum wage, I'd just leave it. At least I've tried it. I'm not gonna waste my energy and time. I'd rather do something that's less stressing and easy for me. So thank you for watching my video. If you guys are going through this or have gone through this, or you find this interesting or can relate, leave a comment, guys. And I appreciate you guys watching this video. Thank you.